Florida Senator Marco Rubio joins us live from Washington, D.C. Senator, good morning to you.
Good morning.
Okay, so a couple of days ago, the president talking about, business people who'd been successful, and he said, you didn't build that. Everywhere I have gone over the last 4 or 5 days, people have said, can you believe he said that? And I've got friends who voted for President Obama and are independents. They said, what was he thinking? What's this going to do for Florida?
Well, he was being honest about what he feels. I mean, that's what we've been saying all along. He's not a believer in the American free enterprise system. They'll never admit that because the American people support the American free enterprise system, so they have to dress it up as something else. But the fundamental fact is that this president believes at his core, and has always believed, that the way the economy grows is when he and government have more power to take money and redistribute it into the economy. They've always believed that. You remember back in 2008, he said that on the campaign trail, and he's saying it again now. This is fundamentally what he believes, and I think it's a reminder to voters in my state, in Florida, but across the country, what a dramatic choice they have here in November between two very different views of our future. One where the president and the government is in charge of our economy, and the other where we, the people of the country, are in charge of the economy.
We got a glimpse of some of that feeling, I think, with the Joe the Plumber comment and spread the wealth in the, before the 2008 election. Obviously, Barack Obama was still elected. But maybe people will pay attention to this a little bit more so because they've also been having the 3.5 years of the presidency and seeing other examples. Maybe they'll also listen to Jay Carney, his spokesperson, try to respond to the question about why has the Jobs Council not had a meeting since January 17th?
Right.
On the Jobs Council, obviously, we reported today they haven't met formally or publicly for 6 months. Why exactly is that?
Look, the president solicits and receives input and advice from members of his Jobs Council and others about economic initiatives all the time.
So there's no reason they haven't met publicly?
No, there's no specific reason, except the president's obviously got a lot on his plate.
Senator, how do you respond to that?
Well, first of all, this is typical. I mean, he did this also with the debt and deficit. He appoints a group of people, and then when they come back with recommendations he doesn't like, he ignores what they came up with and, in fact, campaigns against many of these things, like, for example, the so-called territorial tax system. These are recommendations from job creators and people that are out in the business world who have told them, look, the way the economy grows is when people who have made money take that money and use it to start a new business or grow an existing business. But he doesn't want to hear that because ideologically that's not what he believes, and so he ignores their recommendations and moves on. And I think that's what we're seeing happen right now.
So you even think with the Jobs Council, people that were appointed by the president, you even think that their advice might be counter to what he believes, and that's why he hasn't had a meeting?
Oh, absolutely. We know that for a fact. I mean, if you look at some of the recommendations that have been made and some of the public statements from some of those members, it's very clear that many of them clearly understand that the biggest impediments to growth in America today, in addition to all the uncertainty about our tax code, etc., is runaway regulations, a complicated tax code, and the fact that we're making it harder and discouraging people from investing money in America's future. And I can tell you that the president doesn't want to hear that. So I think that's why they ignore it and move on with their campaign speeches.
Well, you heard Jay Carney. He's got a lot on his plate. Of course, that plate's at a fundraiser, but I digress. Let's talk a little bit, Senator, about what your colleague from across the aisle, Senator Patty Murray of Washington, was talking about a couple of days ago. She made it very clear that the Democrats are ready to let the Bush-era tax cuts expire altogether. They're not fooling around this time. Listen to the senator from the great state of Washington.
So if we can't get a good deal, a balanced deal that calls on the wealthy to pay their fair share, then I will absolutely continue this debate into 2013 rather than lock in a long-term deal this year that throws middle-class families under the bus.
You know, a lot of people have heard we're coming to a fiscal cliff or tax-amageddon and stuff like that. I don't think they realize that shortly after the election, there is a real judgment day coming for Washington, D.C.
Well, there's a real judgment day coming for the American economy. I think what's going to happen here very soon is you're going to see a number of taxes increase dramatically, but you're going to start to feel the effects of it already. Businesses are already planning for next year. So you're going to start to see the layoff notices. You're going to start to see businesses deciding not to invest next year into growing their business, etc. You're starting to see that already. People are already starting to feel the pain of this reality. But look, that speech on earlier this week, number one, it misstated the Republicans' position on this issue. The second thing it ignores is a study that just came out yesterday that said very clearly that if the Democrats' plan to raise taxes on America goes through, millions of small businesses are going to be imperiled. 700,000 jobs could be lost, not to mention all the businesses that aren't going to start up and all the jobs that aren't going to be created.
Yeah.
And this is a very real problem that needs to be addressed.
And Senator, it's interesting how you don't hear that story on any real outlets in the mainstream media, do you?
Well, unfortunately, I think some folks don't want to ignore that part of the argument. They keep talking about tax on the rich because it polls well and it sounds, you know, like what the Democrats want to push. But the reality is that we know now for a fact that what it does is it takes money out of the economy, puts it into the hands of government. Right. This is money that now cannot be reinvested in starting new businesses or growing existing businesses. And that's why that study came out this week saying 700,000 jobs will be lost if the Democrats' tax increase goes through.
All right, Senator, before we let you go, we have to go to your favorite topic. I know, don't say, oh my gosh, I can't believe you're going to ask that again. But the Fox News poll, the recent one, they asked people who would be the pick for Romney's running mate among Republicans. Well, Condoleezza Rice was first at 30%, and you, sir, were second at 19%. Your response?
Well, like I said, I've just stopped talking about the whole process a few months ago. I know this for a fact, though. Mitt Romney is going to make a great choice and a great selection. He's always made good decisions. That's the #1 qualification of a president, by the way, and he'll make a good decision on this issue as well.
All right. Marco Rubio joining us from Capitol Hill today. Sir, thank you very much. Have a great day.
Thank you.